Which is our least favorite one?
I like how you knew
Yes.
before I could even ask. It's a difficult one to answer. But which one would you go for?
I have to go Mulan.
I understand. I completely understand.
Yeah, I would be willing to watch any of the other ones. If I was with some people and they really want to put on one.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to watch any of them, but if they put on Mulan, I would be gone. I'm not going to watch that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not only a bad movie and an insulting movie, it's also a movie riddled with extremely poor business practices.
Yes.
And it's a net negative impact on the world to watch and support that movie.
It is. Yeah, I felt awful watching it. I really did. There's just so much wrong with Mulan. I mean, the thing is, yeah, The Lion King is just a boring scene-for-scene remake, but at least you don't.
Yeah, at
you
least
don't
they
feel
didn't
guilty
enslave
watching
people
it.
for that movie.
Sorry?
Yeah.
You don't.
At least they didn't enslave people for that
Exactly. Like, you don't feel guilty. You just feel bored. But when you're watching Mulan, it's just a constant reminder that this is just Chinese propaganda all the way through. And it's one. Yeah, that's the thing. I'd say. Yeah, all the others boring, unimaginative. But then you throw in disgusting and gross. You're like, oh great. It just piles on. It's like, that's why it stands out from the others. It's like, it's one thing to be boring and uninspired. It's another thing to just be insanely problematic to the point where, what was the point of remaking it?
There's no good press around that movie. And the audacity, the balls on Disney to release it on Disney Plus for $30.
It just,
No.
That moment really exposed all of their intentions, just flat out. The moment they did that was like, yeah, we know why you make these. We know exactly why you make these. But where do you even start with Mulan? Because so like, it tried to market itself as like, we're gonna try and do this respectfully, and it's going to be a more serious take. We're gonna take out the fantastical elements, and you're watching, and you're like, no, you're not. There's so many more issues with this one compared to all the others, and like,
Yeah.
again, boring. I struggle to say this was the hardest one to stay awake to. I was pulling my head up, literally trying to keep up with it, because Mulan herself is such a dull, undeveloped character played with no life whatsoever, because the movie seems to think, oh, the more stoic a character is, the more interesting they are. No! It just makes them more uninteresting. And, like, she starts off as a character with all this magic power, this magic chi power, which is already an appropriation of chi spirituality, like a Western idea of chi. And, like, she starts off all this amazing power, and we're meant to see her going through a journey of training and getting better. No, she's just going from perfect to more perfect. That is her arc in that movie.
Yeah. It was extremely disappointing. There is no journey.
No.
And I feel like I should be pretty much the perfect audience for that movie. Like when they were planning out, who should we make this movie for? It should have been me. And I refused to even watch the movie because they messed it up so much. They stripped away all the stuff that's supposed to make you feel good, and they made it so that it's supposed to make you feel bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't. The message of the first one is, you can be special in your own way. No, not everybody has to be the same. The message of the other one is, fuck you. You have to be magic.
Yeah.
If you're not magic, then what are you doing?
There's nothing relatable.
What kind of message is that?
There's nothing at all relatable about this version of Mulan. There's nothing to resonate with at all.
Just be magic?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, like, the fight scenes are so horrible because they're nauseating to look at because the editing is just so frantic and there's so much CGI effects and like an overuse of wire effects. And like, yeah, I get it's trying to pay tribute to wushu martial arts films, but it doesn't mean it's doing it good.
Maybe they should have actually gotten a team that knows how to make those movies then, instead of getting this random freaking New Zealand lady who hasn't made those movies before.
This movie does not. It's not a good introduction to that genre whatsoever. It really isn't, because you can't see what's going on half the time. And when you see those original...
Yeah, well, just because you have wires in your movie doesn't mean that you're doing it. There's other things in the genre that make it what it is.
Exactly, yeah. And, like, there's a sense of style, elegance, and grace, and patience and nuance to wushu movies. When you look at them, you're like, wow, they've managed to frame this in a really imaginative, delicate kind of way. And Mulan's like, we're just gonna keep cutting shots. Just leave the camera on and then we can see the whole fight. That's where the principles of martial arts cinema comes from.
They wipe away all of the bisexual representation in the
because,
movie.
no, we cannot have any queer coding in a film that's being marketed directly to China. No whatsoever.
Please.
And instead, we just get...
They showed the original Mulan movie in China.
Yeah. I've had Chinese friends that have seen Mulan, so, like, that's not a good excuse. That's not a good excuse. And, like... What do they have in its place? A romance with just some nice, friendly soldier that she has zero chemistry with and barely any scenes with. Their only sexual tension is, oh, you smell bad. That's it! That's literally it. That's as close to hot as we get. It's so bad. The other thing is, the metaphors treat us like we're complete idiots. Viva, do you see the phoenix? There's a phoenix in this film. There's a phoenix. There's a phoenix.
It's almost like she is the phoenix.
She's like a phoenix. But like, I didn't get it at first, but then they had phoenix wings behind her, which is really original. Nothing's ever done that visual metaphor before. When I saw that, I was like, thank you.
Oh my gosh. It's just like the part in Twilight. Now I know.
And it's not just that. They also have this, like, sorceress character in the film, who they tried to make into a sympathetic villain. I'll get to that. But, like, she is supposed to be like, what if this is the person Mulan could be if she used her chi powers for wrong? And it's just constantly the characters going, you're like me! You're like me! Maybe I'm like you! You're like me! I'm like...
No,
I'm emo you! Do you get it? I'm emo you!
They keep on trying to... Disney keeps on trying to put these messages into their movies that are supposed to be positive social messages. The problem is that Disney doesn't believe in any of the messages that they're putting in, so they mess it up every single time. In Mulan, they're trying to do a message about female empowerment. So what do? Let's have a female character say that she's really powerful and then have her go out from one arrow. Oh, spoilers for the movie, by the way.
There's going to be spoiler warning. It's alright, we've got spoiler warning.
One arrow, doesn't even fight, goes out like a little bitch. Where's all that power? There is none, because Disney doesn't even believe their own messages.
No.
You like her character because she cares about her family enough to make a sacrifice. It's not a sacrifice if you're literally already doing the same thing before the war starts.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, so early on, before I was saying about how they tried to make this sorceress into like a sympathetic villain. And that's a possible thing to do with antagonists, but this is a sorceress that's gone around committing genocide. You can't suddenly make me go, aww, a character like that. I'm not in... The thing is, yeah, you can have villains going through a redemption arc, but they have to earn that redemption? There are some characters where you like...
James...
What?
But James, the Chinese government goes around and commits genocide, and you're supposed to go, aww.
There was a really good point that I saw one video bring up, how the villain in this doesn't really have a reason to. You don't really have a reason to hate him because, yeah, there is some reason to why he's doing what he's doing. Like he's avenging his father, and China has taken his land. So it's almost like he's not the bad guy, but the film wants to frame him as the bad guy.
Full disclosure, I did not actually watch the movie because I think I haven't said anything about anything that I have not seen clips of, but I'm not going to support that movie. And I suggest that everybody else not support it as well. This is usually on here we say, you know, don't watch a movie, joking around, saying like, oh, it's really bad, you're not going to have a good time. Completely beyond whether or not you'd have a good time. Do not watch the movie because it supports extremely negative business practices.
Yeah, it does.
And it will... This is a real life consequence. These are real life consequences that are, you know... People are dying over this shit, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't just watch it as like a joke.
Yeah,
at this point, it's not worth it.
It's really not. It's
to
not.
Anyone.
It's not. It's totally not worth it. I mean, like after watching it, I just feel disgusted with myself for going through it. And like the only reason I've done it is because it's my job. I don't. Yeah. I didn't enjoy doing it. I didn't feel happy doing it. I just had to see it, so then I could back myself up when talking about it. That's the only reason.